situation. God's been calling you to get out. You're not listening. I literally like bust out crying. I was like, what is this? Like, God, what are you telling me? What do I need to do? So, hey guys, welcome to Open Heart Conversations. I'm your host, Chinwe Hart, and today's topic is really just about me coming out, introducing myself, letting y'all know who I am, and just talking, just chatting. So I am Nigerian, born and raised in Texas to my Nigerian immigrant parents. I have 3 brothers, 1 sister. I'm 4 out of 5. Really, I have just grown up in that typical Nigerian household where education was really pushed, where focusing on, having a career that is lucrative was, something that was kind of expected in the household. And for me, growing up, I think that set the foundation for my drive. It set the foundation for me being extremely ambitious. And just fast forward to today, being a nurse practitioner, having my doctorate, having my own practice, Rooted Health Holistic Healing, it all stemmed from just my foundation, my upbringing. And me, I guess, revamping everything, because if you followed me, you saw that I had Cheese Vegan Kitchen. I really promoted the vegan lifestyle and I tied it into Rooted Health Holistic Healing. And that's something that I still do, but I really put more emphasis into my practice because, listen, I spend so much money on school. I'm going to focus on my practice and just being able to pour into people and help people heal holistically. And that just, to me, it did more for me than having a vegan restaurant. So at the same time now I can really incorporate diet, lifestyle with my patients and assist them with their dietary needs while pouring into them and helping them heal on a more holistic level, if that makes sense. But yeah, so here we are now. You followed me, 7 years ago. It was all about everything vegan, and still I incorporated diet, lifestyle, and nursing and all those aspects into what I did. But really my YouTube focused on cooking vegan foods and talking about things like that. Now this podcast, Open Heart Conversations, it kind of showcases or is more so my evolution of my growth spiritually, my growth mentally, my growth physically, my growth as a human being. And it's, I want it to be more in depth, more personable, more relatable, and help you all with, okay, hey, I didn't know I needed that, or I didn't know I needed to hear that. I didn't know that there was other people dealing with these certain situations. So really, I want this to not just be about me, but be about you. So I am setting this platform up where we get to bring guests in. We get to have open conversations, open heart conversations, and just talk about those difficult things, have those difficult conversations, and celebrate wins. I think that's really important, that, it's not just focused on difficult things or negative things in life, but focusing on celebrating wins. So for me, I think I don't really take the time to stop and celebrate those wins. I am on constant go mode and, okay, I accomplished this, let me make it to the next thing and try and accomplish that. Or let me, reach this task or reach this goal. And I don't really take the moments to stop and celebrate wins. So here, we're going to be doing that together. We're going to be stopping. We're going to be celebrating wins and breaking down negative ideologies, negative mindsets, and rerouting them to the word, rerouting them to the spiritual foundation of Christ. Because at the end of the day, that is my root, that is my foundation, that is my why. That Christ is who has revealed my purpose in life to me. So when it comes to anything that I do, I really like to reroute it and to the root, to the to the rooted help, yeah, to the foundation of it. But I'm looking forward to having you all meet all my guests, to laugh with us, to maybe even cry with us, just to really break down doors and get to the real in life. I think really right now with social media, so much is sugar coated, so much is a facade. You can sit and scroll on the internet. Anyone can create whatever life that they want and really serve it to you. And it's up to you if you believe it or not. And to me, it's really unhealthy. It's unhealthy for the individual because you're having to create this expectation that is not your reality. And a lot of people are indulging or digesting your false reality, even coveting, what you're putting out there, or feeling that they're not adequate or where they should be in life because of what's being put out there by this person. But this person is not even truly having that life. And if they are, it doesn't matter. All of our seasons are so different. All of our backgrounds and upbringings and our struggles and our journeys are different. And sitting and overindulging in what you see in social media and longing for someone else's illusion, if I should say, it is so unhealthy. And I truly believe it's contributing to a lot of the mental illnesses that we are seeing, the depression, the anxiety, you just have this unseen pressure of, dang, I got to get here, I got to get there, I'm not doing this, or I want this. And it's not reality. It's not reality. And it's okay. It's okay to sit back and be like, look, what they have is nice. That's cool. The life they're living is cool. Maybe one day I get there, maybe I don't. It doesn't matter, but we got to stop putting that pressure on ourselves, trying to attain these things that may not even be in our path or our journey to attain them. So basically, what I want people to do when they're joining us on this couch is to see, like, hey, maybe I can learn from their struggles. Maybe I can learn from what they went through. And maybe I can just see that everyone's journey as to where they are now is different. They might just be showing you the good. They didn't show you that they were barely making it or living in their car or having to beg for money or, whatever to get to the place that they are now. We don't see people's journeys, and not everyone documents their journeys. They're documenting their successes and their wins. And yes, it's great. Let's celebrate those wins, but understand that there was a journey behind that. For me to even get to this point that I'm at now, it was a journey. I didn't just wake up and become a nurse practitioner. I didn't just wake up and own my own practice. It was a journey. The life was a journey. And I guess I can just even brief you on it and tell you about my story, my journey of just getting to this point. It was, I remember back when I lived in Houston, I was working as a nurse. I loved my job. I loved working bedside. And then I hated it. I despised it. I was exhausted. I was overworked. And it could just be the unit, the hospital that I was working at. I remember some of the older nurses that were there had said, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. And no lie, that has to this day been the truth. That has been the hardest place that I've ever worked. And I woke up and I was just like, God, I can't do this forever. I cannot do this forever. There was an older nurse that worked there, and she was exhausted, back problems, just every day complaining. And I was like, oh my goodness, this can't be my life. Like, I can't do this for another 5 years, let alone 10, 20 years. I couldn't do it. So I prayed about it. I really prayed about it. And I started talking to people and having conversations about, what's the next step after this? What does life look like growing in the field of nursing, or even changing my career altogether? Granted, I love serving. I do believe God has called me to be a servant, especially in the healthcare field. So I don't even remember who quite told me. Maybe it was a doctor that I was talking to at that time, had told me like, hey, she has a family member who's going to NP school, maybe consider that. So I started to consider doing family nurse practitioner and looking into different programs. I enrolled in a program, and this is within my first year of working as a nurse. Me and my friend at the time, we enrolled into a program, and then we continued to talk to people, and they were like, hey, family NP is something that's pretty saturated right now. And if you want to work in the hospital as an NP, you need to do acute care NP. So after doing the family NP for a year, I switched and I went into acute care NP, and I'm doing that. And then boom, pandemic hits. So I am literally overworked, stressed out. We're having these travel nurses come in and work at our hospital and on my unit, and they're getting paid like crazy to only have to deal with our COVID patients. And one of my good friends, Lola, she had told me, hey, leave the job, hop on the travel and work on COVID units. It's really lucrative. I was really scared to leave at that time because you got to think, in the pandemic, they weren't allowing NP students to do clinicals or anybody to do rotations in the hospital. So all that was kind of shut down. But because I've already worked at that hospital, I established that contract to do my clinicals. And it's like, well, they didn't stop it for me because I already work there. Like, it's not that I'm coming in there. It's a place that I already work. So I'm like, okay, if I leave this hospital, how am I going to finish my clinicals? So I'm literally trying to figure things out. I'm trying to take like a leave. Our hospital at the time is going through management changes. Like, so much was happening. It was really ridiculous. And I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. And not to mention, I'm in a toxic relationship. So I'm in a toxic relationship. I'm dealing with the stress of work. I'm trying to juggle my business, my brand, and I'm trying to finish school. So all this stuff is happening during the pandemic. I'm like trying to figure life out, find my way. And it's like, how do you even have the energy to push out content, put a smile on your face, be happy when life is just like I don't want to say in shambles, but life is going crazy. So I took my friend Lola's advice, and I took a couple travel assignments. I joined the staffing agency, and I went to different cities, and I worked the pandemic, which was truly a financial blessing despite it being a tragic time. And it was a breath of fresh air. Financially, it really got me to a place of financial freedom. And I was able to, I took a break from my job at that time and took these travel assignments, and then came back, finished my clinicals, and quit that job literally the last day of my clinicals. It was the perfect transition because I had opened the door for myself to have some financial freedom and get away from that job and finish school all at the same time. Whereas some other people or some other colleagues were having to drop out of school, and it was just a crazy time. But jumping to me, just in this toxic relationship. I am in this toxic relationship now. I have a little bit more financial freedom, and I'm now getting to the place of studying for my boards. Well, this relationship is an extreme distraction. I'm not able to truly lock in because I'm stressed out. I'm dealing with that, and but I was able to take a break from working. So I took a break from working, and 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, I use that time to study for my boards. Well, I'm studying for my boards. Again, like I said, I'm in this toxic situation, and I knew I needed to get out of it. I had been telling my friends at that time, like, hey, I feel like I'm losing myself. I'm not happy. I'm the heaviest I ever been. My skin is horrible. I'm breaking out. I'm stressed out. I got to get out of this situation. And they were like, no, you don't want to get back into the market. Being single is a no-go. And I'm like, you know, at that time, life was just lifing. So I can say that if I was in a different headspace and life wasn't the way it was at that time, maybe I wouldn't have accepted that advice. But I did. I accepted that advice, and I was like, okay, maybe it's me. Maybe I need to stick it out. Maybe I need to see it through. Whatever. I continued to stay in that situation, but I knew God was telling me to get out of that situation. God was telling me, like, I will block everything that you do. Like, now, hindsight, looking back, God was saying, I will block everything that you do if you do not get out of this situation. It's not giving me glory. It's not what I have for you. You need to get out of this situation. So I continued to just stay in that situation. And it was time for me to take my boards. I went and I took my boards, and I failed it. I failed my boards. I'm gonna tell you this. I have never struggled in nursing. I've always been successful. I was successful throughout getting my bachelor's. I was successful through the program. I just didn't understand why I failed. I was distraught. I was like, what? I've been studying for 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. I took off from work just so I can focus on studying. I failed this test. So the guy I was dating at that time was like, hey, I don't know, try it again. Don't give up. And I'm like, but this is a distraction. He's stressing me out. And like, I'm not even going to go to the depths of all that, but it was just a really stressful, toxic situation. And I was getting ready to take my test again. And I remember I was listening to praise and worship music. It was the day or 2 days before I was to go and take my test. I'm listening to a praise and worship song on YouTube, and I'm doing some dishes in my apartment in Houston. And then literally what comes on, the next autoplay video that comes on was a sermon, and it was a woman just saying, you're in this situation. God's been calling you to get out. You're not listening. I literally like bust out crying. I was like, what is this? Like, God, what are you telling me? What do I need to do? So I call this guy, and I'm like, I'm done. God told me I need to get out of this. I got to get out of this. My life will not go forward if I stay in this situation. I will not be blessed. And he begged and pleaded and hey, let's work this out. It doesn't have to be like this. I was like, all right, let me pray about it. Let me think about it. I ended up staying. 2 days later, I take my boards the second time. And I was like, okay, God, I know you had just told me to leave, but he said he'll do better, blah, blah, blah. I'm kind of trying to reason with him. I failed the test again. Mind you, I have been studying. I can regurgitate this information and literally teach someone everything that I've been learning, everything that I've learned. I knew it like the back of my hand. I was like, why do I keep failing this test? And then I tell him, and he's like, oh, maybe you just need to leave it alone. Forget about it. Don't worry about it. Don't, close that chapter. I'm like, I have spent so much money for school. I spent so much time. I don't believe that God's telling me to close this door. And this is all in the midst of this pandemic and all this stuff that's going on. I'm like, dang, okay. I decide like I need to move back closer to my family. I need to move back to the Dallas area. I feel like maybe I'm just overwhelmed here. I'm stressed out here. I'm not happy here. So let me move back. So I'm getting ready to move back, and the guy I was dating at that time, we were planning to um, go to Ghana, and we had bought our tickets. We He wanted to go look at some land, probably eventually purchase land, and he had already spoke to my oldest brother about, okay, yeah, we're gonna get married. I'm gonna do the whole traditional Nigerian knocking of the door, and this is who I'm gonna be with. Me at the time, my mind's so foggy from school, from dealing with pandemic. I'm like, I mean, I guess this is what's about to happen. I don't know. I'm just in a weird space. Um, Fast forward, I moved back. I moved to Louisville, and I'm I'm like, we're planning on going to Ghana. Well, let me rewind a little bit because that was before I moved. We're planning on going to Ghana. I bought my ticket. I'm telling my mom, I'm telling my grandma, yeah, we're gonna go to Ghana. We're gonna look at some land. He's saying he's gonna do this whole knocking of the door thing. We're just planning right now. I don't know. I don't know what's about to happen, but I really want to pass my boards. And my grandma actually said, do not go to Ghana. And I'm like, I already bought my ticket. Like, the flight is in like less than 3 weeks. Like, I'm about to go to Ghana. She was like, don't go to Ghana. My mom's like, don't go to Ghana. I'm like, I'm going to go to Ghana. Like, sometimes Nigerian parents will put this fear on you, like, you can't travel here. If you travel here, that something bad will happen to you. And it's like, so I was really big on, no, nothing's going to happen to me. I'm going to be good. So I think we get to the point where it's now maybe a week prior to me leaving. And I spoke with my grandma, and she was like, hey, I had a dream. Do with it what you want to do. I know you have made up your mind, but in this dream, you were in Ghana. You were laying down, and there were snakes wrapped around your head and your neck. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is, but I have to tell you before you leave. And I was like, okay, trip canceled. That day, I canceled my flight. I said, I don't know what that was, but that shook me enough to cancel my trip. And it was the fact that she was like, hey, go if you want to, but this is the dream that I had. And it was more in depth. It was very detailed. So it really did put some fear in me to say, yeah, let me cancel this trip. So I canceled the trip. He ends up going by himself, and I end up moving to Louisville at that time. He stays in Ghana, and we're supposed to be communicating. It's supposed to be good. He's going to come back. We're going to do the knocking of the door. We're going to, plan for this whole marriage thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be home so I can study for my boards, and I'll be good. I did well enough for myself during the throughout the pandemic, that I can continue to be off of work and study for my boards. So I'm studying for my boards. And it's like, same thing. I'm still dealing with the stress of that relationship. Even though he's in Ghana, it's like no communication, trust issues, all of that. And still, it was weighing on my spirit. I need to get out of this relationship. And it was like heavier now. Like the feeling, the pressure, the thought was heavier. Get out of this relationship. I stayed. I took my boards. Third time, I failed it. I'm like, okay, God, I've been studying. I've taken this 3 times, and each time it's like my score is up and down and up and down. It's like no consistency. It's nothing showing me like, hey, this is getting better. You're doing better. You're progressing. It was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And so I began to fast this time. And I'm like, okay, what are you trying to get me to see? What is it? And it was heavier than ever than I felt. You got to get out of this situation. You need to get out of this situation. There was no trust, dishonesty. It was toxic. I'm not someone who will sit and argue and yell. And it had brought the worst out of me. So we get to a point finally, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to get out of this. It's taken me to a place where I don't even really know who I am anymore. And even my mother made a comment like, you don't even look the same anymore. And I was like, yeah, this is really draining me. And this is not how it's supposed to be. If this was from God, it wouldn't be like this. And so I ended up just saying, like, okay, I'm done. But I didn't fully just stay done. I stutter stepped, and I kept going back and forth and back and forth. But I had told myself, I'm not going to take this test again until I have obeyed what God has said. And eventually we cut ties. It was a nasty end. And I was like, okay, I'm going to just focus on me. I'm going to pour all into me and just take care of myself, get myself together physically, mentally, spiritually. I did just that. I became in the best shape of my life. My skin cleared up. I was happier. I was healthier. I was in a healed space once I ended that. And in doing so, I got to a place of, all right, now I'm ready to study for these boards. So I went back to studying for my boards, but this time I went back to work. I took a job and I said, I'm going to enjoy life. I'm not going to study for 12 hours a day for 5 days a week. I'm only going to study for 1 hour a day. And I'm going to go out with friends. I'm going to do things that I love doing. I'm going to spend time with people I love and just be in a state of just peace. When I tell you, I went to go take that test and I passed it with flying colors. I said, boy, God has the biggest sense of humor that, like, I just was like, see, the stress that I went through, I did it to myself. And sometimes when we're disobedient, we're going to continue to go through the same cycle over and over. I continued to go through the same cycle until I got to a space of full submission and full obedience. And that's just like one of the many stories in my life where God has like made himself known and showed out with what he was trying to do. But when you sit in a space of rebellion, of disobedience, and you think that you know it, it will never be well with you. It will never be well with you. So I say all this to say, I share this testimony, this story to say, obedience, he wants your full obedience, even in the smallest things. And it may be something minute that's happening in your life that he is calling you to be obedient to listen to submit to him to. And we're not listening. So then you're going to continue to go through the same cycle. And I have gotten to a place of really paying attention to what he has going on, what he has for me, and really trying to keep him the center of all of that so that I do not go through those repetitive moments of heartbreak, anger, frustration. It's like, okay, God, this is what I want to do. Give me a sign. Let me know. Talk me through this. Let me know what you have for me. Let me know what you want me to do, and I'll do it. And this is just one of the moments that I'm sharing with you on this podcast. There's so many more. I have so many more stories and so many more testimonies, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to share all these stories with you. I can't wait to have these open heart, open, honest conversations. But yes, I'm going to wrap it up. I have a call that I have to hop on to. I pray that this has resonated with you. This has touched you. This has probably struck a light bulb and made you do some self-reflection on maybe a place in your life where you have not fully submitted or been obedient to Christ. And yeah, I pray that you receive the revelation that you need to go into full submission. But please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share your stories, share your testimonies, ask questions. Please feel free. I love it. I love it. I love it. And stay tuned for our next video.